I'm going to go ahead and get into our next lesson, which is finding the area of a trapezoid. If you do want some extra practice on areas of a triangle, here are three questions for you to try. If you want to go ahead and do that, just remember the formula that we were working with for area of a triangle. And if you're not sure, just go back and check your notes or check my previous video, okay? But yeah, if you want to check those, pause here, work those out, and then you can flip to the next slide and see the answers for those which are right here. Let's get talking about our stuff today, though. It says our essential question is, how does measurement help you solve problems in everyday life? We're going to be figuring that out. Our Common Core state standard has not changed. Mathematical practices have not changed from the previous lessons either. And what we're going to learn today, we're going to find the area of a trapezoid. We're also going to be able to find a missing dimension given the area of a trapezoid. Okay, so kind of the same concept, the same process as area of a parallelogram and area of a triangle. Okay. All right, here we go. It says the area A of a trapezoid is 1/2 the product of the height, which is h, and the sum of the bases 1 and 2. So you've never seen a trapezoid in your life before. Here it is right over here. Okay, trapezoid is a four-sided figure. Okay, it has two parallel sides, one on top, one on the bottom. These are called your bases. Okay, there are two bases in a trapezoid. Base 1 normally on top, base 2 is normally on the bottom. These can be interchangeable. It does not really matter which one is which. And then obviously you have your height. Again, we are not using the slanted lines for your height. We do not want to use those. We're going to use our dotted line just like we've been doing for parallelograms and triangles. Okay. So here is your formula that we're going to be using all day. Well, for the first half, for finding area of a trapezoid. Area equals 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. I broke that down a little bit further here, right below, and put in the multiplication sign so you remembered. And also we need to take a look at this. This is probably most important because it is in parentheses. That means we need to solve this first before we move on to any multiplication. Okay, so we'll make sure we take a good look at that today, and we're careful of that today. All right, I'm going to walk you through one, and we will try one in the next slide. In this trapezoid, kind of a weird looking trapezoid, but it is a trapezoid. It says the bases are 5 inches and 12 inches. As you can see, this would be considered base 1. This would be considered base 2. And I do have a straight up and down line here, so this is going to be considered our height. All right. Here is your formula. Area equals 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. Let's see what they do next. They're actually going to go ahead and plug in these numbers. Okay, so the height, they're just taking the height, which is 7, and they are plugging it right into the formula. So it'll look a little bit like this. Take that and just plug it right in. And they're taking base 1, which is 5, and plugging it right in. They're taking base 2, which is 12, and they are just plugging it right in the formula. Okay, just like we've been doing the past couple lessons. All right, as you can see here, their next step was to solve what is inside the parentheses, just like we were talking about. 5 plus 12 is equal to 17, and then they just rewrote the rest of their problem. Okay, they did not use the 1/2 of the 7 yet, so they just brought it straight down. And from this point, you can kind of go ahead and throw it in your calculator. Or if you'd like to, you can take one more step, which they decided not to do. And you can do this. Area is equal to, you just ask yourself, what is 1/2 of 7? Okay, 1/2 of 7 is 3.5 or 3.5, and then we're going to multiply that by 17. Okay, and that is, and if you plug this in your calculator, 3.5 times 17, you'll end up getting 59.5. And if we're using it correctly, yes, we still need those square inches, or the inches squared, so 59 and 5/10 square inches. All right, let's go ahead and try one by ourselves here. There's the answer. We're going to make sure that we're doing it right. And here's your formula up top, just so we can go ahead and plug some stuff in. Use a black pen on this one. Okay, here we go. In this case, we do have two bases, which is good news. Base 1's up top, base 2 is on the bottom. Okay, here's our height with the dotted line. I'm just going to go ahead and mark it H, just so we know. Okay, here's your formula. Let's just plug in what we know. Okay, so area is equal to 1/2 times the height. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply by my height, which if I look over here is 3. And then I'm also going to multiply that by base 1 plus base 2, which are in parentheses. Okay, so base 1 in this case is up here, 4. And then I add, it's on the bottom, base 2, which is 7 and 6/10. Okay, all I did was plug in what the problem gave me. Now I can go ahead and work on my formula. I do want to go ahead and solve what is inside the parentheses first, because PEMDAS tells me I need to do that. Okay, 4 plus 7 and 6/10. If you add that, it's going to come out to 11 and 6/10. And then I have not used my multiplication sign. I haven't used my 3. I haven't used my other multiplication sign or my 1/2 yet. Okay. Now, at this point, you could go ahead and plug this in your calculator. Okay. Or you could take it one step further, which I always like to do, and do 1/2 times 3, or ask yourself, what is 1/2 of 3? Okay. You get 1 and 5/10, or 1.5. And then we're going to multiply that by 11 and 6/10. If I pull out my trusty calculator, I'm just going to do it right on my phone, that's all. Okay, 1.5 times 11.6, we will end up getting 17 and 4/10, which is what we were supposed to get right here. Okay, cool. Let's do one more of these just in case you're a little skeptical about it. We'll figure it out. We'll do this one pretty quick, okay? So area is equal to 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. We got base 1 up top, base 2 on the bottom. Height with those dotted lines, okay? So 1/2 for my formula, 1/2 times the height, which we found out was 3 and 2/10. We just got that from the picture over here. Times base 1 plus base 2, which are in parentheses, so 3 plus 6. And let's go ahead and solve what's inside my parentheses first. 3 plus 6 is 9. Bring down your multiplication sign and your 3/10, and bring down your multiplication sign and your 1/2. So we haven't used those yet. Again, you can just plug this in your calculator right now and it would work out, or take it one step further, which I like to do. 1/2 of 3 and 2/10. 1/2 of 3 and 2/10. So if I was to cut that in half, I would get 1 and 6/10. And then multiply that by 9. And if I pulled out my trusty calculator and did that, I should get this answer right here. Okay. All right, a couple more for you. It says the trapezoid has an area of 108 square feet. They want us to find the height. So this one is a little bit different. We are no longer finding the area, we're finding the height. What is the height? Okay, all of this inside here is worth 108 feet squared. So I'm going to find what is this missing dimension, all right? There is a different formula. Okay, there is a different formula that we're going to be working with for height. Okay, so be careful. It's not like the ones we've been doing. All right, this is a different formula. Just use this. Okay, height equals 2 times the area. So we are doing 2 times A. Okay, and then it is divided by base 1 plus base 2. All right. Now, all they're doing is plugging in what they know in this next step. Okay, so they are taking 12 feet, which happens to be base 1 in this case, 15 feet, which happens to be base 2, and then the area, and plugging that in. Okay, so your 108 square feet, notice it's going in for the area right here. This was the area originally. Base 1 and base 2. This was base 1. This was base 2. All they did was just replace all these things with the numbers that the problem gives us, all right? If we were to go ahead and multiply up top here, 2 times 108, you should get 216. And then if we add 12 plus 15, we get 27. So now I just have a division problem. Looks like a fraction, but it's actually a division problem, okay? This is actually 216 divided by 27. Okay. And when we figure this out, type it in our calculator, you should get the height is 8. We want to make sure we have those units on there, and we're talking about 8 feet. Not finding the area, so it's not going to be feet squared. We're finding out what is the height. Okay. Alrighty, let's try one. This is going to be the last one together here. I do have our formula for us here. So let's go ahead and plug in what we know. Okay, it says the trapezoid has an area of 487.5 square feet. We need to find the missing height. Okay, so we're going to use our formula. Height is equal to 2 times your area divided by base 1 plus base 2. Let's go ahead and get working. Height is equal to 2 times the area. Well, the problem tells us that the area is 487 and 5/10. So I'm going to go ahead and just plug that in. And then it tells us to divide by base 1 plus base 2. So here's base 1 on top, base 2 is on the bottom. So I just do 25 for base 1 because it's on the top, and add base 2, which is on the bottom, plus 40. Okay. So your height in this case is going to be equal to, let's solve what's on top. Okay, we have 2 times 487.5. If I add that, let me find the screen there, I should get 907, or I'm sorry, if I multiply that, excuse me, I'm going to get 975. Okay. Bring down your division sign. We haven't used it yet. And let's add what's on the bottom. 25 plus 45, or 25 plus 40, we should get 65. And now I just have a division problem. Okay, this is just 975 divided by 65. Plug that in your calculator. See what you get. Let's see. You should get for your answer 15. So my height, which is good news over here, is 15 feet. Okay. All right. How did what you learned today help you answer the essential question? How does measurement help you solve problems in everyday life? Well, we can now have measurement, or we know that measurements can be used to find the area of trapezoidal shaped objects. Okay. Here's something for you to practice, just an extra little ticket out the door to see what you have gained from this video. Please keep in mind you need to use the formulas. Okay, use those formulas that I gave you and you will be just fine. If you ever have any questions throughout the week, go ahead and send me a message or send me an email. I can help you out. Zoom meeting will be on Wednesday, 8 a.m. and Thursday at 11 a.m. Good luck, and we will talk to you soon.